Thank you, and welcome. And I appreciate the opportunity to be here. So thank you for inviting me. I wanted to start off by, let's see, there we go. I wanted to start off by just giving just a little bit about our company, and I'll dive right in just for time's sake. But SchoolAI's vision is to make education awesome every day for our students and those that support them, like yourself. And so we're helping higher education do this with SchoolAI, and we're doing it through our platform that engages today's students with tomorrow's teachings and using AI through sensible education first AI to counter those disconnections that students have, reduce some of the routine that we do as educators, and also make it super easy to use because it's integrated with your learning management system and it's seamless within the product. SchoolAI was founded in 2023, and we're a trusted partner with over 400 institutions, educational institutions. But I think one of the most important things to note is it's popular, it's effective, and people are using the depth and breadth. And we have just gone through a large opportunity to really help centrally support AI tutor and offer personalized learning support that is always available for our students and real-time assistance for our students. And we redid our UI to help support higher education in a deeper way. So I'm going to walk you through some of that today, where students can be interactive, they can have an AI-based spaces, and we'll talk a little bit more about that, and then we'll do some questions at the end. So let's go ahead and get started. I wanted to share that there's really two things we're going to talk about today. One is spaces, where that's an engaged learning space for your students to interact. And then the other one is our tools. And this is where innovative instruction can happen, where you can create those questions, those exams, perhaps learning activities that you want to engage your students, maybe some worksheets. You can even go and do it at the university level with these engaging tools, and I'll walk you through some of that. The learning spaces where we capture students' attention in class, whether it's before class, end of class, during our lecture, maybe when our students are even watching our lecture remotely, how do we engage them in a video that we're asking questions, and the AI is there as a partner to the student to help support guided learning. And then the other piece is, when we have a system that allows us to have a whole learning platform and give our students an opportunity to succeed, how they learn, and have it always available to them as a sidekick tutor that can help support them as they go through that learning content within each of those courses they take. So we're going to go ahead and start off, and I am going to do this pretty quickly because I am going to show the new 2.0 and our new platform that will provide a really sophisticated, nice look and feel. But I do want to start here in a classroom where potentially I have a lot of students in the classroom, and this may be the second class that I'm teaching in managerial accounting. And this is a student within that course. All of these students in this course were supposed to have read the material last night, but we want to just do a knowledge check very quickly. So back behind here is my professor, and up on the screen is a QR code for students to participate. Now, you can participate if you'd like to in this little couple minute activity. The QR code is on the screen. So if you do want to participate, you can go ahead and click that QR code. And what we're going to do is take you through a space that's already created that's just doing some knowledge check within the course. So I can actually, let me go ahead and share my screen. So this is, as you're in there, hopefully you all got a chance to kind of get in there. Once you do, you will be prompted with a knowledge check start. This is just a simple activity that you can do at the beginning of lecture, at the end of lecture, to understand how students obtain the information and what they absorbed. It's a pulse check, right? It doesn't have to be very long. It's only 5 minutes. But what's nice about it is I can start to interact within this context of this course. And if I wanted to just grab some content really quick, I'm going to just throw some content into this for the student that is actually engaging. And as you engage within your managerial accounting, trying to find out what those main 3 specific details and concepts they learned last night, it will take them through an active learning activity in which it's going to guide that student. It's also going to understand where you are. So if I'm doing really well, I understand those concepts, it's going to start to challenge me and ask me more specific questions in regards to giving examples. If I don't know what the answer is, it's going to then start to give me that guided learning knowledge that will take me through understanding some of this. Now, this is only a little short 5-minute activity, just really getting me to understand the knowledge that I was supposed to obtain last night. And as a professor, I'm going to now just take a peek. What have my students done? So what I'm going to be able to see right away while my students are interacting with this is who is understanding the material, who isn't, where our students may be struggling. And I can get a quick overview of just what my students are understanding and where maybe they are struggling, that I want to spend a little bit more time diving in. Now, if I just come over here to MEN, or maybe a student that's seeking to provide some insight, I can easily see exactly what that student actually participated in, what questions were asked of them, how they answered those questions, and then how they obtained more information, and what that AI partner, that DOT partner, proceeded to give insights to the student and help that student along. Now, what's nice about the way that we look at this is we can get a quick snapshot. This is really just for a knowledge check. But if I wanted to really get a sense of how my students understood the material, I might want to break them up into groups where I can just quickly see. I've got a lot of students that are A students and a lot of students in the B category. But I really care about those students that are in this lowercase area, and how do I help provide a personalized learning path for these students? What can I do to support them? So as I go through this, I may, pop in and see why some of these students aren't understanding. What are some of the things they're putting? Maybe they didn't read the material at all. This just gives me a quick overview, a quick snapshot, and what we call as insights into student learning, and a quick glance of maybe I want to spend a little bit more time on variable costs because I can see that's been a trend that students don't understand. So spaces are created for what we call engaging activities and learning activities for students. So what I want to do now is I'm going to transition us over, and we'll come back to this space in just a few minutes. But what I want to do is transition us over. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit more here. Let's try this. Okay. Hopefully you can see that, and I'll go ahead and go to a full screen here. Okay, so I want to introduce you to what we have developed, and that is basically a more intuitive UI, one that faculty can get productive in SchoolAI and really do it faster. How we're doing that is we're surfacing we're surfacing some of the most useful spaces to really help you get started, so you're not starting from scratch. But in addition to that, we're also providing what we call is DOT. So DOT is going to always be with your students while they're going through these activities. And what we're going to do is surface some of those key activities that you do every day as an instructor. A lecture enhancer. How do I improve my lecture? Perhaps maybe I want to create a quiz. Or improve a rubric. We're going to surface these right here within the context of the UI, but we're also going to allow you to do simple things. Like, for example, maybe I just want to do a text translator, and I want to provide that very quickly. I can do that. We do also have Hebrew in here, so you can actually use Hebrew to be able to do that text translator as well. So simple things like that DOT can help with. DOT can also help you get started on creating a space, a learning pathway or a learning activity for students within a course to make your courses more engaging, to develop more learning activities that allow students to be more successful in the course. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to show you just how this works. So I can actually create a space. We'll start from scratch. And for sake of time, I'm going to put some information in here right now that's going to allow DOT to help me start to develop an activity. So what I did is I did this really quickly just so that you can see what this looks like, and then we're going to break down how I created this activity. So on the left-hand pane over here, DOT is helping me as an instructor be able to develop what do I want students to learn today, and how do I want to analyze corporate finance, financial statements. And then I gave it a little bit of activity work on what I want them to focus on, and that's forensic accounting. Once I did that, DOT started to create what I consider to be a layout of what the instructions will be. I can add insights in here. I can provide what kind of role, and that it's a college student class of accounting. And then I can give it some instructions, what I want the tasks in the space to perform like, and maybe what I want the students not to be able to do. This is also going to give some general instructions to the student. And then as I start to go through what I created, this is what the students are going to experience. So it's going to create what we call agendas. And in those spaces, it's going to give the students a walking path. So you think about it as steps the students would maybe take. I could have a space that only has one step, and that's it. And students finish that activity like we just did in that pulse check, was just an activity to engage on the content on one topic. But I can now go through multi-steps if I wanted to create a space that will allow me to create a multi-step process. And with that, add in what we consider to be power-ups. Power-ups are interactivities that are deeper than just a text-based and media. It allows us to add in other components like flashcards, like a recorder where we're asking questions and it's stopping, potentially gives an opportunity for like a coding class to happen, and students are coding and DOT is in the coding class with them, but it's going to provide activities on each step of the way, and the student will follow through with each one of them using different types of power-ups. In this case, a graph builder, flashcards that we want the students to learn the content and the terms, a dashboard creator. And as we're going through this, you'll notice here that in the spaces, I've also added competencies or learning outcomes that I want my students to be able to complete and master while they're in this space. And in doing so, these power-ups can be added just about in any aspect that you're interested in doing, whether it's a document, whether it's a an interactive type of tool that the students are basically learning the information from. Any of those can be aligned. So once I have created this space, I can then publish it. And when I publish this space, it's going to provide space title. It's going to highlight what topic it's for. It's going to give a student description. And then I have a choice to make this public or private. And if I wanted to share it because this forensic accounting assignment is so well delivered in what I was trying to achieve and get the students to do, I can then obviously put it as public, and other folks are able to go and search hundreds of thousands of different spaces that are already created and be able to reuse those. So as a instructor, I could come up here, a professor, and search for my topic area I teach, and then find, this is, for example, accounting, but I can find different accounting activities that I may want to interact with. I can also find in my own space some tools that maybe I want to build out my syllabus better, or where my students are spending the most time in forensic accounting. If I go ahead and just click in, I can start to see what we just developed in that particular space. So from a student perspective, if this person was a teacher perspective, if a teacher was going to actually look for content in one of those spaces that are already created, they could come in here, see that this forensic accounting assignment is about follow the money on Enron investment. I can read a little bit about it. When we were talking about the agenda, that the steps the student will go through, it actually lays out exactly how long it should take a student to complete each step through this process. And that agenda lays out the activities through flashcards and different tools that are power-ups a student would then be able to use with this context. So I get a nice view of what this activity looks like, an overview of the steps the students are going to take. On this side over here, it's going to show me the power-ups, those interactivities that are outside of just a text-based AI solution providing learning. And then, of course, the learning outcomes, and then any additional competencies that I want my students to be able to achieve in this particular activity. So as learning takes place, the whole idea is engagement. We want students to engage with material. We want them to learn the material. And at this point, if I like this, I can either preview it, I can remix it and make it my own and add additional information, or I can launch it and keep it for myself. I can launch it for my class, or because we're integrated with the learning management system in Moodle, you would be able to also integrate this directly into Moodle. You can additionally build out a space and never have to leave Moodle. So you'd be in Moodle creating the space. You wouldn't have to be outside of it because of the integration that we have with the learning management system. So once we create spaces and we recreate those learning activities for just my course, maybe I just want to start slow in my AI usage. That's okay. I could just make 1 or 2 interactive activities in a chapter and have it in my my learning management system for students to manage. Once I do that, though, I want to start to kind of keep things organized. And so we now have what we call collections. It allows you to share if you're the master teacher in a course and other folks are being able to use that master course, but maybe have some autonomy to create some additional activities. They can do that, and you can share that with the other instructors. And I can also start to create these collections based on hierarchy. So these are my collections. I can have it for the business school. Maybe it's some of the accounting resources that we want, or business management resources that we have, student capstone activities, and then, of course, all the resources. If I go to click into my collections, this is just for my accounting 101. I can keep track of, all of the things that I'm using in here, from course policies and in my accounting and compliance, my scope and sequence, key terms, things that I'm teaching within. And as I start to filter this, I can start to look for things that are in my collection very simply by images or documents or activities that I've used. I can sort by date, and I can also find if something is shared with me, I can pull that in as well. Now, from a student experience, just so you can see what that looks like, when we finished that activity, we built out that space, we created that agenda for students. Students would interact with the material in this way. So through the LMS, they would see this activity. They could either asynchronously or synchronously join the space. And when they did, they can start engaging with that space. So I'm going to, it's welcome me to the forensic accounting activity. I can begin to walk through some of the information that I'm responding to. Maybe I want to change because there's a missing expense here. And it's asking me to analyze that data that was in that forensic accounting documentation. But now it's providing me a power-up outside of just a text-based AI interaction. It's providing me an opportunity to now engage with some flashcards in real time. So on the left-hand side over here is Dot, and Dot is guiding the activities and the learning that I'm providing, and giving me interactions and help and support based on how we set up each one of our spaces. Very simply, it could be a tutoring type of scenario, and then I can add in these power-ups and different activities that engage that student. What's beautiful about all of this, though, is when that student completes the assignment, what I'm getting back is some amazing analytics, right? So I can see exactly where my students are in the progress, how many of them have completed this. When I come down to looking at how those outcomes are achieved, whether it's below basic, approaching, or mastery, if I want to highlight these key forensic terms and find out why are students still approaching it, I can see the students that are maybe not moving as fast as others and getting through that content in the way that they should based on learning outcome mastery. And then the last thing that I want to share with you here is, as I'm analyzing this from an instructor perspective very quickly, I can also see the students that have achieved mastery. I can send a quick note, congrats, whatever I'd like to do there. And those students that maybe are struggling in our class with this concept, I can create a review space right from there that will allow my students to now go back in and get this concept down that potentially 70% of my students are struggling with. So as an instructor, I get a lot of highlight, a lot of insights, and a lot of data that's going to help me make decisions based on the student's success in my course and how they're learning. And as we go through what we call, this organization of Dot supporting the student through a live AI tutor within the course and guiding that learning, it's really helping those students now be more engaged in the class and make it easy for learning to take place.
One quick question: what's in the AI black box? Do you work with this specific LLM, your own proprietary LLM?
Right. So we actually pull based on all of the LLMs when needed. So our tool will, what we are doing is where it's suggested, we're going and grabbing that particular LLM to be able to pull that data in as appropriate. And then within our context, we have proprietary algorithms that are helping to maintain that and also keep consistency and support within the educational realms that we want to keep our students in as well. So we have some guardrails that will help with that as well. And our team does that.
Your platform allow integration of other systems as well?
So right now our platform, we're pulling those apps, we're integrating with different apps within our own system, and it's allowing us to have that app within those power-ups be able to read what is happening within our system, and then also pushing that data or that information back so that that app is working in hand with the content within the course.